welcome to Amiga Ireland. It's our March episode. I'm Irla.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Luke.
In today's episode, we've got the results of our Amiga Ireland ID badge quiz, which we shared on social media.
We have a look at a new version of a CDXL player for the Amiga.
And Morphos 3.13 gets released.
Before we get into the news, how have you all been, lads? It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm still recovering from a fairly hefty dose of the flu, which was not a lot of fun. So, spent much of the last week in bed sweating.
Okay.
Not very nice.
Lovely, sorry about that.
Especially wondering probably what strain of it do I have?
Yeah, well, I'm reliably informed that it is not the coronavirus, so you're all safe. So
it's probably Saddam virus.
Yeah. But yeah, so this kind of knocked me out and just put me right off my. I was just getting back into the swing of things after Christmas, and after I had a lot of to and fro into Ireland for Amiga Ireland for weddings and things like that. So I've been over and back to Ireland quite a bit, and I was just kind of settling down into the new year then, and flat me back for a week. I was but over it now, more or less. So back to normal now.
Well, thanks for making it today then, Rob.
It's all good.
I've been catching up on work and family life since the event. It's been hectic. I put an awful lot on hold for the event, so I've had to roll up my sleeves and catch up on some things. We've had survey responses in from Amiga Ireland, and they've been extremely positive, which is really nice to hear because it was an anonymous survey. And of course, there was some very helpful, constructive criticism and feedback in there too, which I'm happy to say is all tackled for next year. And we'll go into that in more detail, maybe in another episode, actually, maybe the next time around, because there's a lot to catch up on. Our website has got a new host, thanks to George, aka Walkero. So huge thanks to George. He was at Amiga Ireland with his son Aris, and we needed to move our site somewhere else. And it's actually now faster than it was before. And George has saved us a lot of headache, and it might mean we might have a better chance of being profitable next year as an event. So thanks, George. Really appreciate it. And I see George says on Twitter, guys, there was no February episode of the podcast. The March one needs to be twice as long. Good stuff. Thanks again, George. And thanks to everybody at the event, by the way, who created such a lovely atmosphere. Everyone who taught at workshops, who especially helped with the gremlins that cropped up. There were plenty of them on Friday and Saturday. So a big thanks to Erlen Dahl, Edvin, not to mention John when he was in between streams, for helping out when my Amiga had problems during the creative competition. They were around me like a Formula One pit crew. They were just totally surrounded and just troubleshooted the Amiga, found the problem at the end. Lesson learned for next year. So thanks so much, guys, and thanks to everybody else. It was great to have so much help decorating the place. And this year we've got, for the 2021 event, we've had quite a few offers of people to help out with little jobs. If everybody comes through, there actually won't be enough work to go around, and the jobs will be so small you'll barely notice you're doing them. So thanks to everybody. It was a fantastic event. I had a great time, and I'm looking forward to 2021. Luke, how are you doing? We missed you.
All my energy and all my free time goes to Retro Ready, to be honest, and to developing new projects and packing all the stuff and sending it out and contacting customers. And I've been building around the customers base. Recently we've been working on leather dust covers for different machines, including Amiga 600, Amiga 1200, Atari XL, Atari 65 and 130 XE, C64, the C version, the Breadbin version, different trims, that's been devouring actually my whole free time and my energy. But there's been some good results and positive feedback, and we've been very happy with that, to be honest.
The leather dust covers were won by some people at the event, 2 competition winners. And,
because you got very very early, versions, but I'm still hoping that they enjoyed those anyway.
Yeah, we had some great prizes this year, actually. we had prepared a couple of prizes, spot prizes and raffle prizes ourselves. Alan had brought a lovely bottle of Bushmills, which had a custom printed label on it for Amiga Ireland especially. And he got it signed by David Pleasance, Trevor Dickinson, Dave Haney. By the time we were actually ready to do the raffle, there were so many presents on the stage, you actually couldn't. You had to go around the side of the stage to get up without stepping on something. So another thank you to everybody who brought and donated stuff. Right, let's move on to the news. Just for fun, on social media, we posted one of the Amiga Ireland badges with the Ogham, the kind of ancient Celtic script on it, and asked if anyone could figure out, using a key that we provided, what does this one say. So we got 2 correct answers. So congrats to Muad'Dib of Greece and to Ronan O'Cally, who guessed that it was Amiga written in Ogham. Fair play to you guys, you are correct.
AGA Blaster has had an update, and this is a CDXL player, or what's called a CDXL player. So CDXL is basically a special animation format that also includes audio. So think of it as a very primitive video format. But it's kind of like precursor to video CD, that kind of thing. But it's the kind of video that you can play on, the CD TV, and pretty much any Amiga can play it. But there's an AGA version that can play full 24-bit video with this once it's converted, and it's a very, very impressive to see the kind of video that it can play. So there's an update available for that. The link is in the show notes.
The other thing that I'd like to add is that it's very lightweight as well.
Yes, absolutely. It doesn't really take much to run.
In comparison to any other video player, and it's based on, as far as I remember, Amiga data types.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is, yeah.
Another news item is the update of eyebrows, but this one is 2.5.2. So this one is mainly a compilation for new version of AMI SSL 4.4, which we will be talking later on. Also, there have been a lot of bug fixes. The update is, of course, free of charge for all the registered users of Eyebrows 2.5.
A new animation data type for AROS is completed, and testers are being looked for now. And they're testing currently on Motorola 68K, PowerPC, and x86. That's the 32 and 64-bit version. So if you're interested, you can follow our link to powerdeveloper.org, where the call for testing is.
A new Facebook group that's recently been set up called Amiga Tech Tips and Repairs. Less of a casual group, but it's basically for people who work on Amigas, doing repairs and upgrades, and sort of looking. It's for the more advanced kind of techie type users. So you can search for that. I've included a link there if you want to join in. It's only new. It's shaping up quite well with all the heavy hitters, if you like, in there, showing off their latest repairs and showing. How to use some fancy bits of equipment and things like that.
AMI SSL 4.4 has been updated as well. New certificates, better compatibility with OpenSSL 1.1, and new method of ciphering, which new SSL protocols require. So this version, although it's mainly compiled for 68K processors, will be working on MorphOS, OS.4, and AROS. So if you've been using Eyebrows, it's highly recommended to upgrade into version 4.4.
On OS4 Depot, there's a new release called YT, and this is a YouTube, it's a script for providing direct video and audio links from YouTube URLs. And basically how it works is you just provide a URL and it'll display all of the available video links found and let you play them. It can be used on any website that contains YouTube videos, and it also supports the ability to stream live content within FF Play. So a very nice handy script for OS4 there to get to videos more quickly.
SSH Term has had an update, so which is a secure terminal client. That's on GitHub. There's a link there in the show notes. So if that's something that you use, be sure to update it there. There's a couple of bug fixes and things.
This month, March, is the month of updates apparently, and this one is Morphos 3.13, and this one is just mainly bug fixing again, adding some sort of new skins for a nicer look, new stability improvements, and security. One thing that is really curious and important actually is the Ethernet gigabit port for main boards from Aeon. So I think that's the main thing for Morphos 3.13 if it comes to a release.
And the last piece of news, Tabor may be delayed due to manufacturing slowdown in China being experienced internationally. So there is something written about that on blog.aeon.biz. You can go and read the latest there, and also some kind words about Amiga Ireland by Aeon and Trevor Dickinson. Thanks so much for that. So yeah, it's a shame. It's a really difficult arena to be producing Amiga products in. There are a lot of different constraints, I suppose. So many people now are being affected by the manufacturing slowdown in China that it's possibly going to affect the Tabor as well. But hopefully we'll still get it this year. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. As an aside, there's a very interesting graphic that I saw there a little while ago, and it's basically sort of a satellite view of China from a few weeks ago, or a couple of months ago, and today, and just showing the level of pollution that it just doesn't exist anymore because the factories have all been shut down for the last few weeks, and it's a startling difference.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that picture as well. It's all over the internet.
Yeah, that's kind of shocking, actually. And actually, just while we're on the subject, so this venture of course, involves Aeon and Amiga Kit, who are two major sponsors for us, along with A1200.net, Retro Ready. But yeah, so massive thanks to the sponsors for sponsoring us and for being there and creating a nice atmosphere. And we definitely couldn't host it in the venue we hosted in without sponsorship. So it's really appreciated. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the games. Mutation Software is back after 25 years. There are several games, all to be sold in physical form only as collector's items, and there are additional new titles still to be announced, but so far the ones I've come across are Tin Toy Adventure, Castle Kingdoms and Tommy Gun. So great, there's some new stuff already that you can go out and get your hands on for Amiga.
There's a new dungeon crawler being worked on. Now this is, when I say new dungeon crawler, this is an old dungeon crawler called Legacy, and that was out many years ago on PDAs, and it looks awesome. And I can't remember if there was actually an Amiga version planned and it was canned, or what the story was, but basically that someone sort of did a little tech demo of it a while ago and then sort of created a bit of noise, and now it looks like it's actually going to happen. So if these first person dungeon crawlers are your thing, you'll really love this because it looks the business.
I'm sure you remember text adventure game called Hibernated. It was a really nice game placed in a world of Alien. Same author, Stefan Vogt, has prepared a similar game, The Curse of Rabenstein. The game is again a text adventure game, but this time there is some graphics, and the graphics is really nice. So there will be a digital version not yet available of this game, and the box version. So the price of the box version will be €25 plus shipping. But still, if you like adventure games, if you like good graphics, if you like boxes, then it's a must for you.
Zorro is a new Amiga game in development with graphics by Jojo073. Jojo's, puts his art, his deluxe paint art out on social media a lot, and he's pretty well known for good graphics. So this game is available at the moment, has been played by some people, and it looks the graphics are really good. It needs a pretty powerful Amiga. They recommend 020 as a minimum, and they reckon that the scrolling at the moment is as good as it can get, given the kit they've used to make it. They're kind of working within the limitations of that, but it looks absolutely fantastic, and it's definitely worth a try. Or you can check out the video and the article that we've linked to here on our website.
And there's a new demo of Wings Remastered available. This is a remake of the classic Wings, and it's by Cinemaware. And that is so there's a new demo of that you can download and have a go of. Now this is kind of a next gen game, so as far as I know, it is OS4 and MorphOS. I'm not sure if there's an AROS version, but OS4 and MorphOS anyway have ports in the works. And from seeing an earlier demo of this looks very, very good. So if you have the machine for it, give it a go.
This time we have a C64 release, The Shadow over Hawksmill, and it's a very nice platformer actually, based on an engine of the game which was released previously called Rocky Memphis and The Legend of Atlantis. The game bears a similarity to, in my opinion, to Indiana Jones. I think they didn't have the rights to use that name, but the main character bears a resemblance to Indiana Jones, in my opinion. The graphics is great, high resolution for C64. The colors are nice. A lot of puzzles to be solved, and I strongly recommend it for any C64 user.
Speed Dreams 2 is a 3D racing sim released for AROS as well as OS4 and Morphos, and it's actually a really nice looking 3D game. I don't know if you've played Torx before, TORCS, but that was on Linux for a long time, and probably other platforms as well. So this is a very recent port of that, so it's got all the latest patches and updates that the developers have made to it, so well worth a look if you can run it.
And another C64 release, this time called Old Towers. This game is a port of a Spectrum games by Retro Souls, and again, it's a game in which you have to move around a tower. You have to go up, and the graphics is really nice again. And the animation and the music, the screens of the game present, really good graphics as well. So, again, if you're a C64 fan, why not have a look?
Cytronic have opened pre-orders for 2 new Amiga games, Rotator and Magic. Now, I don't know much about Magic other than it looks like a matching dueled type game, but I have seen a fair bit of Rotator, and it's a really nice looking platform game with an interesting sprite mechanic. It's a rotating ball. The graphics of the levels are really nice, and there are a couple of options to buy as well, all the way up to the top tier where you get something boxed with some nice extras in it. So that's definitely worth looking at. And that's it all for the game section, but we're going to introduce somebody. We've got a caller in from Sligo. How's it going, Seamus?
Not too bad, lads. How are you all?
Good to finally have you. I'd say we're way overdue having you on the show, actually.
I don't think after tonight you might rethink that. You might rethink it.
Cool. So how have you been recovering since the event? How did you get on at it?
Just withdrawal symptoms, like the rest of me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I was actually looking at that game that Rob mentioned, The Legacy. It looks really good. There is one that I haven't played. It's called Genetic Species. I put up a review of it there. And
yes, that's a very nice one.
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
Yeah, Genetic Species is very good.
Does it need a fairly powerful Amiga to run it?
I think it runs very, very well and on high detail levels on 030. And I think it needs like 4 or 8 megabytes of RAM.
And I played that, that Hover Sprint? It was a game you were asking about in the Facebook.
Yeah, that's the one. I just came across it, and I hadn't heard of it before, and I just put it up there to see did anybody actually play it. So a few people.
I'd never heard of it or anything. I thought I'd see if you did, but I gave it a go just before we came on, and it's definitely interesting. Anyway, I haven't given it enough time, but it's like a 3D racer, which seems very slow initially. But it's by Codemasters anyway. Interesting one. I definitely hadn't come across it before.
There is another one I was looking at too. Do you remember Super Hang On? It was on. It was a motorbike game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
It was really good on the Spectrum now, but the Amiga version was a bit like the Outrun port on the Amiga. It wasn't great, but they've redone one. It's called Bonus Stage #75. And it looks really good. There's more colours in it, and the animation on the bike is better and everything. But I think there's only one stage at the moment, but it's another one that's in development.
Might be one of the projectors in Amiga Island 2021.
If it ever gets finished.
So, what have you been playing yourself, Seamus?
Well, would you believe I still play Deluxe Galaga, Lotus Turbo, Prince of Persia. I go around Prince of Persia all the time. It's the only game I ever finished.
Yeah.
The original Prince of Persia.
Actually, it was one of your family members who put my daughter onto Prince of Persia.
Oh, that's right. At the last meetup, it was, yeah.
Yeah, 2019. She kept asking me the one with the guy in the pajamas, and I thought it was Sleepwalker she wanted to play, and she was there. No, not that one. You know, the guy in the white pajamas. It took me ages to figure out what it was.
I've been doing a bit on the emulation, like with the Mister and the Mist, which is it's just fascinating to get stuff working on it. Like the most you can have on it is 25 megs of RAM, but you can't actually have an accelerator on it on the emulation. But it's pretty good now.
How would you say the Mister compares to the Vampire Standalone? Like,
well, the Vampire Standalone would be actually more powerful than the Mister. The Mister is really still only emulating like an ordinary Amiga with 8. It can do 25 megs of RAM. Like I could never get an accelerator to run on it, you know.
So it's got limitations. Is it cheaper than the Vampire? Probably is.
It probably is, yeah. The Mister was the previous one. It's a Polish guy called he goes under the name Lothric. That's his website. And the Mist. The Mist is the nicest machine, but the Mister is the new version, and it's been really developed now at the moment. They're making boards for it and everything, you know. You just couldn't keep up with it at the moment. It's really gone out of control, the Mister. There's guys making boards and add-ons, and
yeah.
I just got a brand new case for it, like, and the case now is nearly obsolete because you need to fit in more boards. You need a bigger case.
But it's good to see, though.
Has it got HDMI out?
Oh, it has. It has everything, and it runs on cores. They're all called cores. You can run like Neo Geo. You can run Amiga, Amstrad. The Neo Geo is really good.
Actually, we're going to talk about the activity in the Facebook group, but I think you've topped the charts again for interaction, and you've been busy in the channel anyway. Seamus, thanks for keeping it lit.
I do enjoy the feedback to see what they're saying about me.
Okay, we're going to say goodbye to Seamus before we move on to Discovery. So thanks for taking time out to join us, Seamus.
No problem.
Who knows? Maybe you'll stay a bit longer with us next time. Who knows?
Okay, thanks, guys.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye. Bye.
My discovery is Xbench by Jim Naray, which is a game launcher, a really cool game launcher. Actually, it can configure nicely, and what sets this apart from iGame, other than the extremely long loading time, is the fact that you can use your game controller, to navigate it entirely. It's got loads of shortcuts, jump lists, a favorite list, recent list, all that kind of stuff. Or you can press a key on your keyboard. Let's say B will jump to the Bs, so you can find Batman the movie quickly rather than scrolling. You can do sideways scrolling as well to jump through lists, like to jump in tens or whatever. It looks really nice. But there's a tutorial by Glenn Milford on YouTube, and that's how I found out how to properly configure it. And he has it set up on a CD32, which is a really nice actual way. It's probably the best use, application for this. It's probably like, iGame wouldn't be much of an option on the CD32, I'd imagine, but this works really, really well. So Glenn's channel is well worth checking out and subscribing to.
He had a pretty awesome CD32 arcade stick setup there at the show. If you remember that, it's an incredible bit of work. Yeah, all homemade.
Nice.
Absolutely insane.
Very impressive.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And he has build videos on that as well, and some stuff. So well worth checking out.
Yeah, and thanks again to Glenn for being such a great sport at the event and helping out. And it was really nice to meet you and your wife, actually. Although it was my own wife who spent most of the time talking with Glenn's wife, Joanne, I think.
Right, my discovery is an impressive version of Doom Clone for Amiga 500 that is being developed right now, and it's being developed by a demo scene coder that goes by the name KK. And this is actually Doom, to be honest. Looks like Doom, feels like Doom, and it runs on an expanded Amiga 500, 7 megahertz, 1 megabyte of RAM. Can you imagine that? This is
crazy.
This is just absolutely unbelievable. This was something that even original. I think John Carmack said that at that time they had been testing a Doom version on I think Next computers.
Mm-hmm.
And the Next computer had 030 or 040, and it was so slow and sluggish comparing to a PC version on 386DX or early version of 486, that they actually said that the Amiga version won't ever happen. So, look, John, it happens.
It's definitely impressive work.
Very impressive. Miracle worker.
Okay, well, maybe not quite as cool as Doom, but A-Train, there's a tutorial by Joe Kyle on YouTube, and it's really interesting for anybody who wants to get into the game quickly without having to go through the pretty sizable manual. Now, in this video, it's not actually the Amiga version, but it's still very useful. There's only small differences, like the icons are monochrome, and it looks like a Mac actually he's doing it on. But I was able to follow it. It made total sense. It's 50 minutes long, and he goes into the detail of not just the interface, but his own strategy and how to play the game well. So it's if you want to spend 50 minutes on YouTube, it'd be a lot more enjoyable, possibly than reading the manual. I don't know. So there you go. I'll definitely be giving that a go.
I loved A-Train. Absolutely adored the game. I have it. I have the original somewhere with the hefty manual, and I also have the construction set, which allowed you to edit maps, and that was actually a really good bit of software as well. The full map editor in the isometric style.
Oh yeah, that's
very
right.
good. Yeah,
I've been wanting to play it for since it came out, kind of, and I just for some reason never got to it. So speaking of Amiga games. Lotus Turbo Challenge on Amiga, another discovery is that it was the inspiration for Horizon Chase, which is a mobile game for iOS and Android. And I have to give credit to Owen, the Galway gamer, for putting me onto this, because I wouldn't have found out about it otherwise. Now, Owen isn't he's not an Amiga user at all. And I'm not a console or mobile gamer, but what happened was I put a post out on Twitter on the Amiga Ireland account when it was snowing. Sneachta, the Irish word for snow, trends in Ireland every time it snows. It's kind of a tradition at this stage. And so I put a GIF of the snow level from Lotus 2. So Owen came on pretty eagle-eyed and said, that looks like a really good game. It really has the same look and feel of Horizon Chase. So he added the developers on Twitter, and he said, guys, is this part of your inspiration? And the developers came back and they said, yes, it is actually. Yeah, very cool. So I actually downloaded it on iOS to check it out, and my God, it has all the good stuff from Lotus in it. Let's move on to Ask Amiga.
Okay, so there's a question that someone had posted up recently on the Retro Computing Stack Exchange, and it was basically concerning what were the largest memory expansions available for the Amiga. And well, the thing is, it all depends on what Amiga you're talking about, and the answers there go into it. But basically you've got Amigas with a 24-bit address bus, and Amigas with a 32-bit address bus. So 24-bit address bus, you're talking anything that's 68000 based 020, 68EC 020, which is basically the 24-bit version of the 020. So that's what you have in the Amiga 1200, and beyond that, yeah. So if you've got any of those, the sort of essentially the lower end chips, they only have 24 address bits, and what that does is that limits the entire machine to fitting within 16 megabytes. So given that there are chunks of the Amiga used up by other things like Kickstart, like chip RAM, and like all the various custom chips and things like that, they all have, they all take up chunks of this 16 megabytes. Basically, you're left with about it's typically 8 megabytes, and that's your Zaro 2 space, but you could squeeze an extra, basically up to about 9.5 megabytes out of the 24-bit memory map. And so, back in the day, you could get like, half meg, 1 meg chip RAM expansions. But for a machine like, that already, when you're talking fast RAM, it was usually just 8 megabytes because that maxed out your Zaro 2 space. And then all that was left was kind of like Ranger RAM, which is the kind of air quotes slow fast RAM, which was like a peculiarity of the Amiga 500. So, but yeah, some very old games need that memory, but that's it. So basically, you can get modern memory expansions, like things like the ACA, or Luke, you have a 9.5 meg expansion card as well. So basically, you get little clever controller chips on them that will remap all of these and fill in all these little gaps in the address space and give you your maximum of 9.5 megs of RAM. So they're available now, and that's kind of as far as you can go on the 24-bit memory map. Now, 32-bit memory maps are a different story because that's 4 gig in size instead of 16 megas in size. So if you put a 32-bit CPU in your Amiga, then if you have the local area around that, it has a 32-bit address bus. So your accelerator card essentially is what that means. So if you put a 32-bit accelerator on your Amiga, you can access, in theory, up to 4 gigs of space. In reality, it's 2 gigs, and and basically there's 1 gig of space officially for things like memory, and 1 gig is sort of reserved for other stuff. But you can put basically as much as you're ever going to use in there. So 32-bit machines, basically, that's what it comes down to, is the accelerator. If you're on a 24-bit machine, you need to upgrade the CPU bus to 32-bit. Some machines are 32-bit from the get-go, and it's basically the 3000 and 4000, and so Zaro 3, and that lets you add memory. So you can use the Zaro 2 memory cards, but Zaro 3 memory cards, you can get 256 megabyte memory cards now. So basically, you put this board in one of your Zaro slots, and it gives you 256 megs of RAM. You can put multiple ones in, and they all add up. So you can put 4 of them in. That's 1 gig of RAM if you're crazy enough to do that, because they're not cheap, those boards. But yeah, that should work. And basically the entire machine can address all that memory then. There's on the Amiga 1200, it's still a 24-bit address bus on the motherboard, but on the accelerator you can get a 32-bit, obviously, and some accelerators like the Blizzard's 1260s, you can fit 228 meg sims to them, so that'll give you 256 megabytes of RAM, which is pretty crazy in a 1200. But that's fine, because you've got all the 32-bit part of the machine is entirely on the accelerator, so they can design it whatever way they want. The 3000 and 4000 are a bit different. They're a little bit peculiar. So you can only fit up to 128 megs of RAM on an accelerator in the 3000 or 4000, even though, on the 1200 you can fit more, and you should be able to fit more, but because the entire system is 32-bit, it's the motherboard that decides which address spaces are allocated for what, and not the accelerator card. So the accelerator, if you can put more RAM in there, but as soon as, let's say, a Zaro card tries to DMA to that accelerator RAM, it'll fall flat on its face once it goes outside the 128 meg window. So rather than deal with that, basically any accelerators for the 3000, 4000 are limited to 128 megabytes. So so that's basically it. If you can fit Zaro 3 RAM to the 3000 or 4000 and up it again, but that's a little bit slower than, or noticeably slower than accelerator RAM. But if you need the memory, you can fit basically as much as you're ever going to use. But yeah, so that's basically a quick rundown of the different ways you can expand the fast RAM on your Amigas.
Nice, thanks Rob. Okay, let's move on to online activity. our top Facebook post. Wayne was looking to ID a SCSI CD-ROM. Welcome to the group, Wayne, by the way. And also Seamus's post on Amiga format issue 42 from 1993. Oh yeah, thanks to Erland Dahl for linking me to the play guide for RoboCod. It was you, Erland, which I've never actually finished. So I'm going to get to that ASAP. And on Twitter, our top mention was from Mad Pete. Mad Pete, it was good to meet you actually at the event. I didn't get much time to talk to you or anybody actually. I didn't get enough time to hang out with people this year because it was just a bit extra crazy this year. But next year is going to be smoother. So I hope you're all back so I can hang out with you properly because that's the main reason for the event in the first place. And also David Barber, who identified the Mist machine. Hi, David. And our top tweet was of of Trevor Dickinson of Aeon with Silkworm and Turrican playing in the background there. Okay, so yeah, normally at this point we talk about new members in the group. I haven't actually done that this time, so we'll just do a big, massive haul of everyone who's joined from 2020 next month.
Yeah.
Next month. Okay. Congrats to the competition winners who attended on the day. We had Pixel Vixen, who came first in the pixel art category. It's brilliant that somebody who attends actually wins something like that. And in second place was Desert Sunset by Vasilios Samiadis and Mirror World by Doug Compton. So congrats to you. And in the 3D scene, lads, the funniest thing happened. There were 2 entries this year. So we had Muad'Dib, who entered his Thanasis amp version 3, and Anthony Jarvis entered his Fisherman. Both really cool entries. And I was wondering how would people judge them? You know, how would they get numbered? So we sent off all the votes to get counted anyway, and they both added up to what it was, 70 something. They both got the exact same number.
Yeah.
So because there was only 2 of them in it, I was printing out certs, the night before. And I said, well, there's only 2 here, so I'll print out one for first place and one for second place for each of the guys, and one of them will get a first place, one of them will get a second place. But because they got the same number, they both got first place certs.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so congrats, guys. And the mod which came first was Raid Over Moscow by Simone Bernaccia. Celtic Dream came second by Zoltar Dream Music, and Keep the Rhythm by Fusion Mixer came third place. Some prizes have been going out in the post. I've had to put a pause on that because of personal stuff I've been dealing with the last few weeks, but I will get back to sending out the remainders, and apologies to those of you who are still waiting. But an extra thanks to Anthony Jarvis, who is actually the editor of this month's podcast episode. Fancy, we've got an editor.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's really good then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if we sound a little bit sexier or a little bit more credible, or if you just notice anything like different like that, that's definitely not us. It's Anthony working his magic. And that's all from us for this month. So thanks to everybody who's listening. Thanks to everybody who came to the event. We will talk to you in a month's time. Feel free to get in touch if there's something you'd like us specifically to cover. Until next time.
Music was by Virtual Dimensions and Banjo Gaioli. Edited by Anthony Jarvis.
And did we miss anything this month? Let us know on Twitter, Facebook, or email info@amigausers.ie.
And we're going to play it with a song of the month, Raid Over Moscow, The Good Ending by Simone Bernaccia, aka JMD, and this came first in the Commodore Creative Competition. Cover image for this month's episode is Sayonara Okasan by Vicky Lamburn, who came first in the pixel art category. Congrats to Vicky, and safe travels to Vicky, who's on her way to Japan for a whole new life and job from the UK. So best of luck with that, a big move, and I hope it's everything that you hope it will be and everything that it can be. Best of luck, Vicky. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
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 And that's new members. Fuck me. I think we're going to skip it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.